Nothing like a comedic political satire that isn't far from the truth about actual politics to get people ready for Election Day. The Campaign for America! The latest comedy of 2012 stars Will Ferrell and Zach Galifianakis, and this is basically a political satire about two politicians who are running for congressman of North Carolina. Will Ferrell's Cam Brady has been congressman for 5 straight consecutive terms, and he dances around subjects, and he's very, very, let's just say, dirty. But some greedy businessmen want to stir up the pot, and they get Zach Galifianakis' character, Marty Higgins, to run for the campaign. And Marty Higgins is more of a friendly, happy-go-lucky type of guy. And this commences the very verbal, and sometimes physical, brawl between Zach Galifianakis and Will Ferrell. As you can imagine, this movie on paper has limitless potential to the amount of comedy that can be reached. And when you have Zach Galifianakis and Will Ferrell just fighting each other, you just can't help but get excited. And fresh out of the theater, I have to say, this was one of the better comedies of the year. Now, the big catalyst that's holding this movie together is the pairing of Zach Galifianakis and Will Ferrell. And believe it or not, well, not believe it or not, obviously, this was the best part of the movie. Those two together make and create comedy gold. Their chemistry together is just absolutely brilliant, and the banter that goes back and forth between them just creates for some very, very great scenes. They both play their respective political characters very well, and believe it or not, Will Ferrell kind of feels like an antagonist for 3/4 of this movie. And you really, well, at least I did, I became very invested in Zach Galifianakis' character. Normally in a movie starring Will Ferrell, you really care about Will Ferrell, but I felt like Zach Galifianakis kind of stole the spotlight from Will in this movie. And it makes sense because Zach is a more sympathetic character, and you feel more for him, and Will Ferrell is just a big, greedy jackass. If you've been watching my reviews for a while, I'm going to probably say this in every comedy review I make, but comedy is so subjective. A person can find one comedy movie that's, like, praised upon critics amazing, and they could find the same movie, others could find the same movie terrible. And personally, I thought most of the jokes in this movie worked very well, and they hit the nail on the head. One of the big jokes in the movie that's marketed in all the commercials, and even on the poster itself, is the punching baby. The part where he punches the baby in full force and full exposure, when I saw that part, I cried for 10 straight minutes. It was just so ridiculous, but it was so well executed. It was one of the funniest things I've ever seen in a comedy. I found Zach Galifianakis' character's assistant, who helps run the marketing campaign. He was very darkly hilarious. Now, these are just some minor nitpicks. These aren't really complaints, but I thought the ending kind of took me out of the movie because character motivations just took really big mood swings. And, I mean, it wasn't a bad ending. It actually, in the grand scope of things, it's a good ending, but it just took me personally out of the movie. Also, the jokes that failed in this movie, which was very rare for me personally, but when they failed really hard and fell right on their faces. I enjoyed this movie a lot, but I really think a second viewing would tarnish that, and certain comedies on second, third, fourth viewings and so on, jokes don't get old. Sometimes they get better, and they're elevated by repeated viewings, but I feel like some of the jokes in this movie would probably not be as funny the second time around. This is really one of those movies where I can't decipher how I'm going to feel after a second viewing. Overall, The Campaign was a very fun and entertaining time at the movie theaters, and if you have nothing else to do this weekend and you don't want to see Born Legacy, go take some friends out, your girlfriend, whoever you want to take out, family, get some popcorn and just sit back and enjoy this movie. And I personally think if you're into politics a lot, you might enjoy this movie even more. I do need at least one more viewing to clarify and solidify this opinion, but this could be one of Will Ferrell's comedy classics. It wasn't his greatest of works with Zach Galifianakis, but I really feel like this movie will be either a lot better a second time or a lot worse second time. And that's why I can't give it a 4, but I'm going to go 3.5 out of 5 stars. It's really apparent now that in every Will Ferrell comedy movie, he has a hot wife. and normally I don't know who the actress is, but it's a recurring thing that I just noticed now. So if you've seen the campaign, please let me know what you thought about it in the comments down below, and also, if you don't mind me asking, what's your favorite Will Ferrell comedy? I think mine's Anchorman. That Anchorman is a classic. Please like this video down below and subscribe up above. I am John from Maffmanjones Reviews, and oh beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, America!